So this space is being recorded so that it can forever be held as held on the public record. And we'll start. Yeah, just if Milk, since you're the one who since you're the one who issued the challenge for the debate, since you wanted to discuss MAGA communism, I'll give you 5 minutes for your opening statements. You don't actually have to use all of them.
I'll try to be concise. Pretty simply, as a communist, the goal is not to reach people of any particular ideology or political leaning. It's to reach working class people. There's a lot of working class people in MAGA, of course. I mean, just go to a MAGA rally, look around. They're there. So you want to discount them based on ideological basis, and I think that's a false premise right out the gate. But also, your characterization of MAGA is just, I don't know, it's like Rachel Maddow. I don't think it's based in reality. I mean, you call it imperialist and neoliberal, but MAGA is in general against wars, and they like that Trump said Iraq was a mistake. They like that he said to bring troops home, and they're anti-war. They were against the war in Ukraine. Really the only political tendency who was against the war in Ukraine. Everyone else lined up behind it. What MAGA really did with Trump's run in 2016 was open up this new space in media, in politics and ideology, separate from the establishment, which is currently being filled by a bunch of grifters and, like Daily Wire and like these kind of people who have their own interests that are not in the interests of the working class, Zionism being the most obvious one right now, and they're trying to steer the MAGA base in the directions they want. But it's really not like a homogenous movement. I mean, you also have people like Alex Jones, and then you have people like Nick Fuentes who have their own agendas and their own ideologies and worldviews that really wouldn't be acceptable anywhere in the mainstream. And that's us. Communism's not going to be acceptable in the mainstream. So you have MAGA and you have legacy media. What are you going to go with? And then the left pretty much rose up, like the online left rose up pretty much in reaction to MAGA and is based just around opposing Trump. That's really the core of it. So where are you going to go? I mean, I'm maybe not MAGA exclusively, but to write off the MAGA movement, this is the most dissident political movement there's been in this country in a really long time. It's a huge opportunity for communists to make it more than just an online Twitter thing, to make it actually a movement. I mean, if you want to transition from just posting about theory online to actual movements, actual parties running candidates, it's got to be MAGA. Where else are you going to go in the political landscape right now? And to discount it for these lists of buzzwords is just completely self-defeating. So, yeah, I'd like to hear you justify MAGA as imperialist, neoliberal, all the other stuff you said. It's what it is at the core is anti-establishment. It's people who are fed up with establishment politics. They were fed up with Obama, and they were fed up with Hillary Clinton, and they just wanted something else. They want to drain the swamp. That's the core of MAGA, and that's completely compatible with what we're about as communists.
All right, so the same goes to you, Dust James. You've been pretty vocally anti-MAGA and anti-MAGA communism. You have 5 minutes to justify your position.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I call MAGA neoliberal and imperialist because it is explicitly the political movement of a neoliberal and imperialist politician who had neoliberal and imperialist policies, and his entire campaign was used to get him and keep him in power. This is the equivalent of saying hope and change for Obama, and there was masses of people who were anti-establishment, who supported Obama, but wanted to get drained into the Democratic Party. This is completely and utterly absurd. If you think MAGA or Hope and Chains or Build Back Better or any slogan and or artificially imposed movement is some kind of going to help the masses of working class and oppressed. It is not. It's never going to help you. You never control it. You're never going to be used it. It is created to manipulate the people. They may say good things. Democrats say positive things about race, about they act like they're about workers. Republicans say they're going to balance the budget or they're going to do some that. Do they ever fucking do any of it? No, they don't ever fucking do it. It's always a manipulation. Never trust a neoliberal imperialist politician. The movement is going to come from movement is going to come from class struggle. The movement is going to come from struggle against racism, struggle against national oppression. It's going to come from the bottom up. And that's where it's going to come from. It's not going to come from their platforms. The consciousness of the people is going to be from and for the people. We need a Panther style. We need a United Rainbow Coalition. We need mass movement. We need independent institutions. We're not going to be able to latch onto their bullshit movements that weren't made for us, that will never serve us. And it's just fucking bullshit opportunism that you want to get on here and you want to look like you're opposed to the liberals, and then you fight over stupid artificial cultural issues to promote yourselves, to promote this fucking leader, Haas, who all he's about is getting himself out there and building up his own fucking ego and never fucking organizing. Plain and simple.
Is that the end of your...
Sure, I'll end it there.
Yeah, because then I will put forward I guess Milk, if you want to have a response to that, and then
you just immediately collapse MAGA into Trump. But MAGA communism doesn't mean go vote for Trump. You know, it means building our own space in the MAGA movement, because you say it's going to be bottom up. It's going to be for the people.
The MAGA movement ain't yours. It's for Trump. It was made for Trump. It was made to get Trump elected. It was made to keep Trump in office.
Okay, it's bigger than
How
Trump.
the fuck is it yours? No, the fuck is not. It was a manipulation. Well, that's like saying the Sanders movement was bigger than Sanders. Some people broke off of it, but it was a sheepdog movement to keep people in the Democratic Party.
Well, I'll have a question for the both of you. Since Dust...
In 2016, I was saying...
Hang on. Yeah, Milk, I will give you a chance to respond to that. Just a question for Dust James, and then we'll go to Milk Dust. So this is your position. Your position is anti-MAGA communism. I would like to know what
communism is an oxymoron.
What is your... Yeah, we get it. What is your positivist institution? Like what...
We need to build
groups or movements in the United States.
Independent movements amongst the people that are organized the class struggle. That's it.
I'm asking which ones.
Yeah, the people in MAGA, dude. The people in the abstract.
I will mute both of you. Dust. Which of those movements in the United States do you think exist already, or are you saying we need to start?
I think we need to get within. I think we need to have more militant labor and community organizing and community institutions.
So I'm hearing that that's what we need. So you're saying it doesn't exist yet?
No, I'm saying it does exist. I mean, you got Chris Smalls, you got you got the Starbucks workers, you got the immigrants' rights movement, you got you got the more militant portions of Black Lives Matter, you have people within working class and oppressed communities with local power that have been building and struggling for power. You got anti-police brutality. There's a bunch of this been going along that I've been a part of for 15 years plus.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
Dude, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Milk. I'll give it to you. Milk, I will give it to you. That was a very hilarious list.
Okay.
Milkman. So you're saying that
people,
MAGA is... You're saying that MAGA is independent from Trump. It's its own independent political movement.
Yes.
Justify that statement.
That's ridiculous.
Well, I wouldn't say
that's fucking ridiculous.
Okay, let me talk to you. It's bigger than Trump because they boo him when he...
But you're going to fucking laugh at Black Lives Matter, which was a mass movement? That was a fucking mass movement?
All right.
Yeah, Dust, let him talk. I will.
They boo him when he's pushing the vax. They boo him when he's pushing the war in Ukraine. They don't blindly follow Trump, demonstrably so. It's bigger than Trump. They turn on Trump when he's going against the platform he put forward in 2016 that got him all the support in the first place. You say we got to build support with the people, but it's all in the abstract. Like what people? Which people? Not the MAGA people, I guess. They're all
The
not.
working class and oppressed who
The
have
working
been
class.
struggling, have been organizing.
The working class.
And the immigrants' rights movement, the civil
working
rights
class and the
movement,
Trump.
and the labor movement.
The civil rights movement. What year is it, dude? I mean, the Rainbow Coalition, the civil rights movement. What year are you in?
It's still fucking going on. Just because all you do is fucking watch
the Rainbow
Fox
Coalition.
News, don't mean there ain't grassroots activism all over this fucking country. They just don't fucking cover it. I've been a part of it. I was part of Occupy. I was part of coalition building, and I've been part of this fucking struggle that you have no fucking idea of because you haven't fucking set a fucking foot out.
Okay, you're very hot. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do first of all, Jesse Jackson was also a bourgeois politician, but I guess it's so long.
No, I'm talking about the original fucking rainbow movement. I'm talking about the young patriots. I'm talking about the young lords, and there's still a second rainbow coalition to this day. Thurman is a part of.
You would have been very radical in the '60s. You would have.
It's still fucking going on. The new African Black Panther Party in Jersey had the fucking FBI called on them not but a fucking few years ago.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Hang on. This is actually we're not gonna pretend like the new African Black Panther Party wasn't started by an actual neo-Nazi named Tom Watts. That is a Fed organization and a very bad example.
Oh my fucking gosh! You're gonna call fucking Tom Watts, the comrade, a fucking neo-Nazi?
Like Tom Watts, who actually was exposed as a neo-Nazi, and I actually helped expose him. I can put the links.
Really?
I can put the links up in the.
So now you're calling people that actually do the work not.
But before you start spurging out, let Milkman actually make a point here and stop having a meltdown.
Because I'm not familiar with this, so I kind of want you to dig on that. Who's Tom Watts?
Are you the moderator?
I will go look for those because it was like all the way back in 2020 that we exposed him as a Nazi. But Milkman, you were making a point about MAGA being independent from Trump before you were interrupted by Dust.
Yeah, I made my point. They don't blindly support him. I mean, that's what Rachel Maddow says, that it's a cult and that they just blindly.
Okay, what the fuck do they support? What the fuck does MAGA actually do? What the fuck do they actually support?
Dust. Well, yeah, Dust. If you're gonna have a meltdown, then
I'm not having a fucking meltdown. You guys are saying absurd, ridiculous bullshit. You know what MAGA was founded on? Anti-immigrant bigotry. That was the main fucking thing that Trump came down on that platform. You think that doesn't serve the ruling class? You don't think attacking immigrants, the most exploited section of the working class in the United States, is part of the plan of the fucking elite to super exploit and keep workers down and lower all our fucking wages?
Immigration is a working class issue because it's bad for workers. Right now in New York, we've got
okay, so how are you going to help? How are you going to? Okay, no. I'm going to stop you right fucking there. How do you help workers? Are you going to further demonize the immigrants? You're going to further attack immigrants? No, you get with the workers. You work with the immigrants, and you lift them up. You get them full rights. Yes, you get them full rights, you have them join the union, and you fight for better wages from the bottom up. That's the way to improve wages.
What's happening?
Not attacking
immigrants.
Not building a wall. Not shooting people down to the border. Not mass fucking genocide.
What communist countries have the kind of immigration policy that we have right now? Any communist country.
Are we in a communist fucking country? We're in the heart of the empire. We're in the heart of the fucking empire that created the mass starvation, that destroyed other economies.
Where is this? You got a lot of bromides. Where is this open immigration theory coming from?
You think Mexican people want to come here? They were forced here by U.S. policies, neoliberal policies like Trump's fucking policies.
Okay, so right now in New York, what's happening is the entire city budget is getting cut by 15% to pay for these hotels they got. The army comes in, sets up a hotel, and they start bringing in immigrants, and all the money that usually or was going to like the fire department, the library, the schools.
The immigrant of the super exploited labor of the immigrant is far more than they could ever take back in taxes.
Let me finish.
Fucking
You're going to go to these people and tell them, yeah, sorry, you have to give all your money to these people who aren't even Americans.
No!
Because
No,
otherwise you're a
the
figure.
worker beside you that is more exploited should be making as much as you. And we should raise the wages for all the workers. An injury to one is an injury to all. If any worker's exploited, we're exploited. If any worker's attacked, we're all attacked.
First of all, a lot of them aren't workers. They're lumpen. They're criminals that are getting brought in.
Shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. No fucking A. No. The working class, the immigrant workers are proletarian to the core.
That's not true.
I was raised by undocumented workers. I have worked with undocumented workers. You go into a construction site, you go to any fucking kitchen in America, you will see a proletarian, undocumented worker who is super exploited and the most revolutionary and the most exploited portion of the American working class.
Yeah, that's not true though. So
shut the fuck up with your racist piece of shit bullshit.
It's true. I live here, dude. I see it every day. I mean, I guess you're one person, so that disproves everything, I guess. But listen,
I've worked at every fucking sweatshop in my town. I have delivered to hundreds of thousands.
All right.
All 48 states. All 48 main states in Canada. I could.
All right. So, we can actually have a coherent conversation here. The question, well, not the question, but the accusation that I had made that the New African Black Panther Party was founded by a neo-Nazi named Tom Watts. That was called into question. I just want everyone to know that I did post the link from 2020. There's a couple of posts, but this is just the one where it was first exposed. Yeah, so just that for the record, there is a long list of evidence against Tom Watts. If y'all wanna talk about that before you start having a meltdown at each other, I will unmute everyone now.
That's okay. Well, so your plan to organize the workers is to go, and when they say we shouldn't have an open border, just scream at them and call them racists. And
no, you go to you find a worker regardless. No, that's not the plan. You find a worker regardless of their politics, and you say we need to improve the rights and the wages of everyone. And how are we going to raise the wages and raise the benefits of everyone? We all form into a unity. We raise all of each other's wages regardless of documented status. That is the way to improve wages.
Wages go down because of immigration, dude.
So wages go down because of the lack of a labor movement. We cannot. Okay, we're not going to stop migration. You think what fucking organization are you going to use to stop people from coming here? The U.S. military? No, the labor movement is going to organize all workers within the immediate area to raise wages for everyone. And that's the only power we have is from the people. Where do communists get their power? From organizing the most exploited workers. We have no control over the state. We have no control over the state.
Yeah.
And we have no control over the state. Where does our power come from? We're going to organize. We're going to organize from the bottom up.
You're doing.
Where do we get our power from?
Calling them racist, so that's
I'm calling your piece of shit a racist because of your anti-immigrant stances, because of your bullshit. Yeah, you might be a fucking worker. You're a fucking bigoted piece of shit worker.
What do you think the average worker's view is on the immigration crisis? Which I don't know if you know.
They don't give a fuck. If the average worker sees that organizing with the undocumented worker beside them will raise their wages, they will support the undocumented.
Okay, but what they actually see, because what's happening outside of your fantasy kumbaya rainbow coalition world, is that immigration drives the wages down.
No, this is the only way communists have ever achieved anything. When the Communist Party had the most influence and the most power, it was in and amongst the immigrants.
Tight borders.
There's
by having an iron curtain, dude.
There's a statement that needs. There's a statement
that's a very different condition.
Y'all need to, specifically Dust. You need to park your car, get a cold glass of water or something to calm down. But a statement was made that is worth justifying on your part, saying if the American working class can organize alongside illegal immigrants to raise wages, that seems like a contradiction to me. Whether or not this would actually raise wages when it's pretty clear that the point of flooding the country with cheap immigrant labor is a point of division, like is a point of like class warfare to suppress wages. How exactly do you organize with illegal immigrants to raise the wage, since that statement was made? Dust, justify that statement.
First of all, how are we going to stop the flow of migrants? Yes, I think masses of migrants can bring down wages. And the reason why it's hurting wages is because the same enemy here that is exploiting us here destroyed the countries and forced people to come here, and they like the chaos, they like the instability, they want to use that. But what are we going to do about it? We have no control to stop the flow of migration. All we have is the power to organize with undocumented workers to improve our wages. That's the only thing that's ever worked. It's the only power we have as communists.
When has that worked? You said it's the only thing that's ever worked. When was that?
It's the only thing that ever worked. The U.S. labor movement was built by organizing immigrants, the industrial workers of the world, the CIO. If you look back at the Palmer raids to destroy the Communist Party, they deported immigrants because they were the most militant communist organizers who built the American labor movement and got us the fucking middle class. That is the only thing that's worked. It's the only thing that's going to work.
Well, that led us to where we are today. So I don't know if we should be just blindly following.
We're in the core of fucking empire. And no, communism is not the problem. It is not that we had bad tactics.
No,
it is not
that is
that
the
we
problem.
were.
No,
it is not that we had. Our enemy was too strong.
Oh,
our enemy was too powerful.
Okay,
they
well,
had
give up.
McCarthy. No, we're going to keep fighting, but we have a long uphill struggle in the core of empire with the strongest empire. No, we're going to keep fighting.
Why?
We're going to keep fighting.
You think McCarthyism won't come back if there's an actual communist movement in this country?
I got a question.
So, regardless of how hard the struggle is, we're going to keep fighting. But the reason why the socialist revolution didn't happen in the United States wasn't because of bad policy.
I will come back to you.
It was because we were bought off with the late aristocracy,
you don't have
and we
to
were brutally suppressed in COINTELPRO
and
the McCarthy.
I will mute this chat as long as Dust. You gotta unclench your sphincter, man. We're not personally attacking you. I will come back to you in a second. Milkman. So the accusation was leveled at you some minutes ago that the MAGA movement began because immigration is a very good, I guess, example of like the tension between like MAGA and leftism in the United States. It's sort of like one of the highest priorities of it. The accusation was leveled at you that MAGA began as this like racist movement against immigrants. Is this the case? Is this like the heart of MAGA? And then why? And what is really going on here with that? With that sort of narrative? I unmuted you.
Oh, okay. No, it's not the heart of MAGA because the Republicans have been beating that drum for my entire life, and the Democrats too, to some level. Oh, he left.
Let it be known that the coward Dust James. Oh, there he is.
He's back. Okay. No, let's not name call. He came. So anyway, no, it's the heart of MAGA is not anti-immigration because that's been the Republican Party platform my entire life, and the Democrats too, to some level, until recently. And that's not what made MAGA unique within the Republican Party. What made MAGA unique was that it was anti-establishment and anti-corruption, drain the swamp. That was the slogan. And it was against the Iraq War. I mean, when Trump came on stage in 2016, he was running against Jeb Bush and all these people who wouldn't say anything, any bad word about the Iraq War. They still supported it in 2016. And it was Trump who turned that around on the right and made anti-imperialism on the right viable through the MAGA movement. And now look who they're trying to get to be now. Nikki Haley, the fucking
reactionary isolationism is not fucking anti-imperialism.
Reactionary isolationism. What does that mean?
Explain explain that.
Like,
justify that.
Trump, when he was in power, didn't slow down imperialism one bit. For starters.
Yes, he did.
No, he continued the coups. He continued attack. He continued to fund. He increased funding to the Ukrainian. He
got impeached because he threatened.
He's controlled that position. They slap their dog every now and then. They still gonna bite for who they're gonna bite for.
We will go back to that because I disagree with that. But but first of all, keep it with the isolationist thing. Keep it there. We will challenge that idea that he was didn't slow down the imperialist march of US.
That's a pro-imperialist Democrat talking point, dude.
It is. I agree with you. Cards on the table. I agree with you, but we'll get there.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Hang on.
He killed Soleimani. He carried out a coup in Bolivia.
Dust. Unclench your sphincter. We will get to that.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
I'm asking you. We asked you to justify the reactionary isolationist standpoint, and you moved it to a different thing. Justify the anti.
First of all, Trump will say anything.
Trump
will say fucking anything to get support at any moment. He's been known to say stuff like
who? To get support from who?
To get support from anybody. He is a complete opportunist. He's only out for himself, and that's it. And he recognized I think there is, within the MAGA movement, represents some anti-establishment feeling. But what ends is it being manipulated towards? What are they doing? They voted in a neoliberal imperialist politician. They're trying to keep in a neoliberal imperialist politician, and they're enabling fascists to attack immigrants and attack black folks and attack the labor movement. They're controlled opposition, pieces of shit, manipulators of our community that need to thrown the fuck out so we can unite with black and brown brothers and sisters and fight for all working people for better wages, better health care, and better conditions for all of the people.
So Killmonger in the comments, Killmonger brings up a very good point that the measure of proletariat is not a measure of who is the most exploited, and I think that's another interesting reason of why immigrants and immigrant labor gets brought up a lot in communist spaces. But yeah, I really want to stick to this point because it's a very popular concern for Americans. Are illegal immigrants
undocumented workers, the over 12 million undocumented workers are the most exploited portion of the international American working class, hands down. They get paid less, they work in construction, they work in food service.
Dust, you having road rage is not an excuse for going on an Asperger's rant. So I said, it's right there. I just said the measure of a proletariat is not who is the most exploited. It is not a measure of who is the most exploited. And then it's not in the post here, but the implication being, in the theory being, the measure of the proletariat is where the productive forces lie in a country. Who actually produces commodities, who actually keeps the real economy of a society going. So the question is, can the American working class, like you said, organize with illegal immigrants when illegal immigrants are coming into the country specifically to drain the national coffers, to retard development, to suppress industrialization, to increase welfare? Is this organization or sort of coalition even possible? Don't dodge, please. I'm unmuting. You can talk now.
Undocumented workers produce far more in labor value than they ever take in taxes or any other thing from this country. If you look at rural places in the United States, they're being rebuilt by undocumented labor when everybody else is fucking fleeing to the cities and getting hooked on opioids. The undocumented people are some of the most hardest working motherfuckers in this country who continue to build up this country and give far more than they could ever possibly think of taking back.
So you're saying that these illegal immigrants are moving to the countryside?
Undocumented workers.
So
okay, look, I want to move on from immigration because you're clearly very emotional about this topic, and as I said, I don't believe it is.
I was raised by undocumented workers. I have worked alongside undocumented workers, and I fully support
the gente mi raza.
Vamos a ganar, si se puede. Hasta la victoria siempre. Todos los chichis gringos van a morir de pinche racismo. Muerte a tu chinga madre, pinche putos.
Dude. Okay. So, as I said, I want to move on from this topic.
No. Wait, because this implication that like the millions of
dude, you're not going to get anywhere. He's just going to scream at you, and
he's going to be.
Let's just move on. As I said, it's not the core of the MAGA movement, so we can move on because we're talking about MAGA communism. We're not talking about immigration.
But what is the purpose of the MAGA movement?
I told you, as I said,
workers, to divide the working class, to attack black workers.
Yeah,
that is the purpose of MAGA.
Okay, I'm muting you both again, man. Before we go all Pancho Villa on, I just to be clear, before we move on, it does need to be said that a vast majority of the millions of, as Dust says, undocumented workers are moving to major cities: Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. Like, that's just an undisputed fact. So let's not pretend that they're going to, the middle of Wichita, Kansas. Okay, we can move on. Unmuting. I'm muting everyone.
That is simply a lie. That is simply a lie. I've been all over the country. I live in rural North Carolina. Don't you disrespect Kwame Ture in front of me. Okay, now I live in rural I live in rural North Carolina. And our school system is 30% Raza, 30% black, and 30% white, because of the sons and the daughters of tobacco workers and poultry workers. And I've worked in the factories with them, and they are in the rural areas. And I have seen Raza in the factories all over this country, in rural areas. It's a fucking lie that all undocumented workers live in cities, are urban, liberal, light, gangster lumpins. It's fucking absurd. The vast majority of undocumented workers are proletarian to the core, and they are the core of the American proletariat itself.
So the people you're calling proletarians who are
not American, right?
Yeah.
No, and a good portion of the undocumented workers moved here in the fucking 90s. They've been here 30, 40 years. They built
that's my point.
We have an open border, dude.
And if you look at the whole fucking third of the country,
Pancho.
and the Southwest was stolen from Mexico. There's an oppressed Chicano nation of Aztlán in the Southwest.
Cállate. Silencio. So just as you said, a majority of these people that you are referring to, a majority of the people that you are referring to came here in the 90s. Dust, is it the 90s anymore? No, we are in a post.
The children are still here.
We are in a post NAFTA United States economy.
Trump may have worked with AMLO to lessen NAFTA.
Deindustrialization.
NAFTA is still fucking going strong.
Exactly. Deindustrialization, globalizing production chains, taking American jobs out of the country and towards Asia and all these other places.
Yes,
has made it so that
we reindustrialize the United States.
So
if we want to take political power, we work with the undocumented workers.
Silencio.
To do that.
Silencio. 30 years after this time period you are referencing, the 90s, where the people you are identifying as proletarians, are you saying that reality is still the same today, where the millions
but their children are still here?
Are somehow the basis of an industrial economy that does not exist anymore? What are you talking about?
There is still production in the United States. It's not all gone. I have seen it. I work in it.
Okay,
there's still production in the United States.
I would like to talk about imperialism, because we were talking about MAGA. We had moved on from this. You said, well, what is the core of MAGA? And I said, it's anti-establishment sentiments. Anti the mainstream media, they call it fake news. Anti the wars, they say America first, stop funding Ukraine.
It's fake anti-establishment. It's a sheepdog force to manipulate things,
screaming and screeching in Spanish,
to push people to push people towards the ends that benefit the elites.
Yeah, well, that's what I said.
It's fucking Bernie Sanders all the fuck over again.
Are nowhere to be found. It's because we're just letting the boat be driven by these grifters like fucking Ben Shapiro.
Okay, people rightfully hate Trump. People rightfully hate the MAGA movement because the vast majority of people are not racist.
Democrats hate the MAGA movement.
They're not racist. They don't hate immigrants. They're rightfully offended by Trump's open bigotry against migrants. They don't fucking like it. The majority of people came out in mass to vote against Trump and take him out of office.
Okay, you're really gonna have to give us where you're getting those numbers from, because I mean, Trump right now, even back 4 years ago, he was the popular candidate. Today, he's by far the popular candidate.
Okay, even what are you referencing? Fucking country, even in the most Trump fucking country places in the country, maybe he got 80% of the vote, and 50% of the people didn't fucking vote. Dude, the vast majority of the people are apolitical and don't vote.
You're like waxing hysterical about rural America. Look at an election map, okay? All the rural areas are red. The
majority of people in rural areas don't vote.
Every kind. What was that?
The majority of people in rural areas don't vote, and even when there is,
right?
I mean that holds true for the like rural or urban.
And it's very specific in the black. If you look at the rural Black Belt South and how they voted against Trump.
The rural Black Belt South was heavily manipulated by the Democrat Party, which is why states like Georgia
it wasn't heavily manipulated. They understood
there was
that Trump is a racist piece of shit, and they wanted nothing to do with him.
There was a very
the masses of people
there was a very
don't like Trump's racism.
Documented. There was a. I'm just gonna mute you if you're gonna be rude. There was a well-documented attempt by the Democrats in the Black Belt South specifically. I was in Atlanta at the time of pushing Democrat and like black representation in the Democrat Party in making sure to turn red Georgia, like blood red Georgia, into a Democrat state, by pushing by pushing these liberal candidates in cities like Atlanta, people like Keisha Lance Bottoms, people like what's the guy who took over her job? But the governor, like not the governor, the senator, no, the fat black woman who took over Georgia. Like, yeah, I mean, like there was a huge infiltration of Democrat subterfuge going on in the Black Belt South. I'm unmuting everyone.
All right, I just think it's funny how every time people support Trump, that's a legitimate expression of the people. But whenever people vote Democrat, it's never anything to do with the people. It's pure manipulation. Like, that is a double standard.
The support for the Republican Party and Trump specifically, I mean, you can see in his rallies, you can see in like the map of places like Georgia that were voting Republican.
You don't think
I'm muting you if you're gonna keep interrupting because you're insecure. That's your problem. I'm just going to mute you, Dust. And the infiltration of the Democrats happened in cities, in Atlanta, in Buckhead, in Savannah, which is a top-down effort to change the political makeup of a state by making it look like an organic shift into the Democrat Party when it was a top-down push rather than a bottom-up demand. That is, like, again, I was living in Atlanta at the time. There's a very clear difference here.
So use an urbanite. No. Look, there's nothing more top-down than the fucking MAGA movement. It was run by one person for his benefit and his control. There's nothing more. What I'm saying is, it was a lot easier to get people out to the polls when they had this explicit, open, blatant fucking racist like Trump to vote against. Biden had more votes than any president in history because Trump was so universally hated, specifically by black and brown people, because of his blatant racism.
Well, the fact that you believe that Biden was the most voted for president in history, just again,
it's in the numbers. He received the most votes.
Milkman, you want to respond to that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely nothing strange about that election, right? But you say it's just about one guy, and like, okay, but yeah, I agree with you. Trump is like in it for himself. He cares about himself, but he's opposed by the establishment. He left again. Oh no, sorry, you got someone else.
No, I'm still here.
He's opposed by the establishment because of that. Like, I'm not saying Trump is like a proletarian hero.
Okay, here's.
We all got to follow him.
I got you. Here's
this space for whatever his motives are. I mean,
the space already existed.
For whatever reason,
that's the problem.
He's opened up to the space by appealing to whoever he can, quote unquote.
You think
workers,
listen,
rural workers? He's not appealing to the brunch libs in New York. He's not appealing to military contractors in Virginia because they tried to impeach him because he stopped sending weapons to Ukraine. He was getting lied to by his own generals. He tried to pull out of Syria.
He ended up increasing the
since, I think, JFK, who didn't start a new war, or maybe Carter. And as soon as he gets out and all the ghouls from the Obama administration get back in, what happens? War in Ukraine, genocide in Gaza. That didn't happen under Trump, okay? You can cope about it and say it would have happened under Trump's second term, but it didn't happen under Trump, and it's happening now under Biden. Okay, Victoria Nuland.
It was continuing to happen under
Obama.
Trump.
Yeah.
It didn't stop under Trump.
Victoria Nuland was in there under Biden, not there under Trump. She comes back, or she was in there under Obama, comes back in under Biden, and just picks up where she left off. And then we have a war.
I think the main point that you guys are missing is, did Trump create the anti-establishment feelings in which he manipulated for the benefit of the ruling class?
So MAGA Stalinist has a good question in reference to that. You have
that's a good point. Need to appeal to Trump? Why do you need to specifically call yourself MAGA? Why do you specifically need to tell Trump to appeal to the sentiments that he is manipulating?
So MAGA Stalinist, who I brought up to ask a question,
universal anti-establishment.
MAGA Stalinist, who I have brought up to ask a question, does have a relevant question to this exact point because it was brought up. The accusation was brought up that MAGA is top down, that the priorities and the sentiments are enforced from the top down, from people like Trump, and that MAGA will just go blindly with it. But MAGA Stalinist has a question that is very relevant to that accusation. MAGA Stalinist, can you please ask your question? And then I will keep you on the panel in case you have any more. But yeah, then you're good.
All right, so Dust, if MAGA's so top-down controlled, I just want to ask, like, why was MAGA so anti-vax while Trump was very pro-vaccine? They were not falling for the vaccine at all, but yet you're calling it like a top-down control, which that's blatantly false. Trump has to answer to his following. They don't blindly follow him. They have their own demands, and he has to answer to it. That's why once there was a lot of negative pushback, he started to kind of like sit back on it, saying, okay, we're not going to do any like regulations or anything like that. Everyone makes their own choice, blah, 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 blah. And even now to this day, he's still kind of like, it's still about being like, oh, we created this vaccine, blah, blah, blah. And his followers still say, no, that vaccine was bullshit. So how is it top down? Please tell me.
Trump's negligence killed hundreds of thousands of people during the COVID crisis. He didn't even admit the damn thing existed. He did not take any federal action whatsoever to stop the spread of the disease.
You're not answering the question.
Now, on the contrary, he went out of his way to make sure the pharmaceutical industry profited from COVID instead of getting the cheap vaccines from Germany. Listen. Instead of getting I'm not. I support the Chinese. The Chinese took COVID very seriously. They had zero COVID policy.
Okay,
they
but there's a difference
testing,
between the Chinese
and they shut it down. Now listen, listen to what
you
Trump
can't just
did.
say the Chinese.
There's
getting
a totally irrelevant
between our government and their government.
Completely irrelevant.
He made sure the big pharma profited off a more expensive, less effective test, acted like it wasn't a problem whatsoever. Hundreds of fucking thousands of people died, and then he put all of the responsibility, which the federal government could have helped with, onto the local, mostly Democratic mayors, who were forced to implement some draconian policies just to have some basic spread of the COVID that was killing.
The question was, which you're kind of avoiding, how is Trump and MAGA a top-down movement when that contradiction between vaccines specifically was such a point of contention between Trump and his base? Please answer the question. Unmuting everyone now. Because what's not going to happen, you're not going to change the subject and then get us embroiled into an argument about, the
COVID. Trump acted as if COVID wasn't a problem. COVID was a problem, and his inaction killed hundreds of thousands of people.
Okay, you're not answering the question, bro.
Yeah, answer the question, please.
How is MAGA top down if MAGA was against the vaccine while Trump was promoting it?
And then MAGA Stalinist, I'm gonna drop you. If request the mic again if you do have another question. I just don't want this to become a muddled shouting match.
Here, I got some people keep calling me, and I have to leave and come back to my headset working.
All right,
that's fine.
I kind of want
to
to speak a little bit, while we have this intermission, right? Hello, everyone. There's this really, really disgusting thing going on at the moment, where a bunch of leftists got banned, right? And after they have gotten banned, Jackson went and pinged and got it to Elon Musk's direct attention, right? This is easily one of the richest individuals on the planet. He has to be so insanely busy. Just think of all the messages and the feedback he's getting consistently, right? So the fact that he responded to Jackson's DMs, or sorry, not DMs, sorry, public inquiries about these people being banned, is itself a big deal, right? And the fact that clearly was the motivating reason for these people getting unbanned, right, is itself also kind of a huge deal, right? But what do these people do? What do these people who literally just got unbanned practically because of Jackson do? The first thing some of these dickheads do is literally just call Jackson an anti-Semitic Nazi and insult him. This is the first thing they do.
Jackson is a racist.
This is the first thing they do.
Defends fucking slavery, attack the playing of the black national
anthem. He's not. No, he's not.
He's more racist than the fucking NFL.
Explain his support for the EFF.
He'll say whatever the fuck he wants. He sounds like he's anti-imperialist. What does he fucking do? He's constantly promotes bigotry against LGBT folks. He promotes bigotry against immigrants. He goes up there. He puts his face next to Tucker Carlson. He wants to be fucking Tucker Carlson. He's an opportunist, reactionary piece of shit.
Interviews him. So hold on.
Not only did Tucker Carlson interview.
Stop gibbering. Pause.
He dressed like him. He talked like him, and it's still pinned on his fucking profile. The most anti-immigrant piece of shit on fucking me.
1 second.
I'm going to give if RTSG wants to co-host, just to have control of the mute button, because again, what we're not going to do is have this be a muddy shouting match.
Yeah, I don't want to yell. No, I also don't want to mute people too much. I'm not going to use it. Okay, just please 1 second. Okay, I just want to make this quick point, and then we can get back into to you hating on Jackson or whatever, right? But just note, okay, to everyone in this space, I want you to keep this in your mind. The first thing they do is insult Jackson publicly and accuse him of being an anti-Semitic like Nazi or whatever. Just keep a note of this. This is the guy who unbanned these people. And this is the first thing they do. So leftists will never be our allies. They will never be like, we should never concern ourselves with quote unquote converting leftists or having allyship with them, right? Because this is how low they are as a just like hive mind. And the reason why these people do this, by the way, this is the reason why that guy kept the first thing he did was accuse Jackson of being an anti-Semite. Isn't even because he feels like it, although that is irrelevant. It's just more so to just posture to his followers that, hey, this is the guy who unbanned me, but just so you guys know, I don't actually approve of him. You know, he's still a bad, a no bad guy or whatever, right? And it's fucking gay as hell. Anyways, Dust James. So you hate Jackson, bro? Like, I mean, I get it. Like, he's a
rich,
white supremacist.
privileged piece of fucking shit that started
Okay,
out
that
as a
means nothing.
fucking Bernie supporter in a fucking faux ass
Yeah,
Orange County.
people's opinions change. Like, what does that even
Were
mean?
you not a Bernie supporter, Dust?
People
I
change their
always saw
opinion.
him as a sheepdog. I always saw
Bullshit.
Sanders as a sheepdog.
Okay, Dust. Can
I've
people
been a
change
communist
their
since
opinions?
2008.
Can people change their opinions?
Yes, but all he did
Okay, so
was
why are you
figure
mad
out how
about
to
it?
further self-promote himself. It was never about helping the people, organizing the people. The dude ain't done shit for the people. All he does is make anti-imperialists look bad by branding us as blatant racists and defendants
Not
of
really.
slavery.
He's the biggest fucking person on this whole website to begin with, let alone be the biggest quote unquote like anti-imperialist.
I
Besides,
can show you
there's a
clips
way
of him
bigger
defending slavery, attacking the playing of the Black National Anthem,
slavery. Okay, I mean,
attacking
post it. I'll see the
attacking
context.
the
Post it.
Colombian government as if it's tools of the imperialist West. The dude
Okay, that's
is
a
an
lie. Jackson
ignorant,
never defended
racist,
I mean,
disgusting piece of
okay.
shit.
He's a liar.
He makes us look bad.
No,
He
you
did.
make
Oh
us look
my
bad.
He
god, bro.
attacked.
Okay. Pause. Just 1 second, right? The reason why I just want to have a normal conversation. I don't want to hear these stupid buzzwords, man. Stop saying racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic. Shut the fuck up. Just make a point. Just make the point. Just explain he is racist. Why? And then just give the reason why. Instead of just being like he is a, buzzword. Just get to the point. It's not, this is not how people talk in real life. You don't talk to people in real life by just yelling buzzwords at them,
There's
right?
videotape of him openly defending slavery. He
Okay,
attacked the
send it to me and I'll see it.
okay, and he put it on his own channel.
Okay, send it to me
He
and
went
I'll
on
see
Jimmy
it.
Dore. He went on Jimmy Dore and attacked the progressive Colombian government as pawns of the West.
Okay, I don't, hold on. So you hit us with like 10 buzzwords, right? He is a racist, anti-immigrant, hate-mongering, anti-imperialist, whatever the hell, right? And then your best reasons are he criticized the Colombian government, and there's a clip of him somewhere, in some place where he supposedly defends
No, it just
imperial
shows
slavery.
he's supposedly an anti-imperialist, but he's completely ignorant of the real anti-imperialist struggle, like on the
What is the
ground
real
among the
anti-imperialist
You
struggle
mean
that he's...
Petro, who meets
Yes.
with
No,
Alexander?
It's the people
what is
on the
real...
ground in Colombia, the poorest of the poor, the Afro-Colombians, who
What?
risked their lives and bled to put a more progressive government into power in Colombia.
Oh
That is where the
my
anti-imperialist
god.
movement
This is
is.
Petro. who
It's not
led
some
meetings with
rich
Alexander
fucking Orange
Soros.
County kid.
Anti-imperialism is when minorities in third world countries vote in elections. Like what? Like,
No,
And
do
they
you see what I'm
put
saying this is?
somebody. No, they put somebody into power who was able
Yeah,
to
they voted in an
renegotiate
election.
relations with Venezuela. Yes, there is power in the election in the oppressed nations as the multipolar world has fallen around itself. We have seen socialists come to power in Venezuela and Bolivia, come back to
That
power
has
in
nothing to
Nicaragua.
do with... Dude, okay,
Those are
hold on.
anti-imperialist
You're gibbering
movements.
at me. Again, okay, stop with the buzzword. Stop with the buzzword. Okay, no more no more of that word. Okay, use a different
What
word.
word? What word?
Because you keep saying anti-imperialist, anti-imperialist, anti-imperialist.
I'm
speak normally,
anti-imperialist to
man.
the core, and I know who
Man,
my
speak normally,
allies are.
please.
I
Stop
know
with the
who.
buzzwords. Stop with the again, please. Okay, listen.
I'm not allowed to say
Your
basic.
point,
I'm not allowed to say basic political terms, or it offends you because it's a
because you're
buzzword.
using it as a
Imperialism,
buzzword.
imperialism, imperialism, imperialism. I am an anti-imperialist. Jackson Hinkle is a fucking opportunist, crank piece of shit
I
who's
think you're
only
just
looking out
jealous.
for himself.
I
Literally,
think you're
wait,
jealous of
how?
him.
Right, here's the question. If he was an opportunist, right, isn't there a bigger market for either right wing, like explicitly like conservative Inc., PragerU
He
style
found his
content,
niche. He
or
got his
hold
niche, and
on,
he
Doug,
went with
please
it.
let me finish, man. Okay. Isn't there a bigger market if you want to be a conservative, to be like a PragerU Ben Shapiro style conservative, or if you want to be a leftist, be like a TYT
I didn't
progressive
say he was
international
good at it.
leftist?
I just said
No,
he's an
no.
opportunist.
Isn't there a
I didn't say
isn't
he
there
was
a
good
way
at it.
bigger market? Hold on. Isn't there a way bigger market for those types of like places? And if so, if he was a grifter, if he was a person who was just interested in money and status and influence, etc.,
What
wouldn't it
has he
make
done to
sense
help
to go?
anybody other than make
Okay, pause.
anti-imperialists look bad?
Let me finish. Let me finish, man. Jesus. Okay. If he was just interested in monetary gain and influence and credit, etc., wouldn't it just infinitely be way more beneficial to go where it is established, as in there's an existing big market and base for it, and it's quote unquote acceptable, you know?
I mean,
As
it's
I said, like
largely oversaturated. He found a niche, and he was able to get a following and promote himself
it's
that
the
way.
worst niche of all time. He got banned from Twitch. He got banned from YouTube. He got banned from almost
I
all
didn't say he
payment
was good or
processors.
PayPal.
smart about it.
The
He
He's
group
got
still an
got
he
banned
got
from
banned,
opportunist.
he
PayPal.
got
He's
banned
not
from
out helping
PayPal.
the
He got
people.
banned from like
Okay, if you
Twitter
think
like
he's a
7 million
legitimate
times.
anti-imperialist, what is he doing to promote the anti-imperialist movement other
He
than
just
making
got
us look like racist pieces of shit?
he just got people unbanned.
Hold on. Let's stick to this point first, okay? Again, if he was interested in monetary gain, he would have gone for greener pastures. Instead, he went to the one fucking position that you literally can never basically say on public. Like he got banned a million times
Fucking
on
Trump
original
went to
Twitter.
that
He got
position. And Trump's the
no,
biggest
no.
opportunist piece of shit.
No. He got banned a million times on Twitter. He got banned from YouTube. He got banned from PayPal. He got banned from Twitch. He got banned from a slew of websites. He had his whole channel deleted several times on YouTube. I mean, like he got banned on TikTok like 100 times. Clips of him on TikTok get like, demoted. He got an absurd amount of posts deleted over and over. So like again, if he was interested in money, why would he take the one position, the one set of positions that consistently get you deboosted, deplatformed, and censored and banned? That
But
makes no sense.
he might be happy with the cult following that he has developed. It doesn't make him any less of an
But
opportunist.
that makes no sense. Like, why would he be a person interested in monetary gain, but specifically pick the
He might
position
just
that
be out
hurts
there
your?
for his own ego and the way he wants to go about
That
doing it.
makes no sense. That come on, man. That makes no sense. Like that
He's
literally
definitely
makes
not
no sense.
helping the anti-imperialist movement. He's definitely being used. He came out of
Who
nowhere
is
and
using
he
him?
was allowed.
Who is using him?
The establishment likes to have the representative of
What?
the anti-imperialist movement be Jackson Hinkle. Because
Why?
Jackson Hinkle is repulsive
How? When he's
to a
banned from
good portion of
YouTube,
the American working
TikTok,
class.
Twitch, payment processors, how is he the one, quote unquote, the establishment boosts? That makes no sense.
How did he get where he was in the first place? How did he rise
Because
off his own
people,
fucking talent? Because people
yes,
actually
literally,
okay, there
objectively, yes.
okay,
Yeah.
black radicals,
Objectively,
underground
objectively,
communists,
yes.
people have been saying the same anti-establishment shit that he has for fucking forever, and they don't blow up on fucking
Well, and
YouTube.
and they
They didn't
haven't
blow up
been
on fucking
they
things. No,
haven't
it wasn't
been
because he wasn't effective.
smart
They
enough
allowed him to blow
to
up.
be there.
They allowed him to blow up to taint the anti-imperialist movement. And then when they
Okay,
don't feel like dealing with him, when he's an inconvenience,
what
they
are you
they
saying?
they slap their dog on the wrist and they put him back down because it's nothing but a controlled opposition little doggy tool.
So
Gay,
this is
dude.
so the quote unquote.
That literally makes no sense. Like you're basically just saying everyone. Like so, is infrared also controlled opposition? Am I controlled opposition?
To an extent, the only people that are going to allow to get big on these platforms
What?
are people that are somehow benefiting them.
You know what's
That's pretty
hilarious?
I think
convenient
we
since
need
This
you have
is
no
just
our
like,
own
Hang on.
okay, I mean, I get
infrastructure.
Dust, I get like your position. It genuinely is like a schizo, like I don't say this often,
I
but it
think we
is like
need
a
our own
schizo, like
infrastructure.
tinfoil position where you just say like, well, everyone is famous, and everyone who says anything, everyone anywhere is actually controlled opposition. The part of the matrix, they're trying to take me down. Like,
No, but it's
bro,
very obvious he's controlled opposition.
how? But
And
When
you
people
know,
how?
have
you know
been
what's funny?
saying
But
the
how
same
is it
shit
obvious?
forever
How did you
without
come to that
the hate,
conclusion?
without the defending slavery, without sucking
Stop
up to Tucker
returning to the
Carlson.
subject, bro. I still don't know what clip you're talking about, and you still haven't gotten me a clip yet. So, like,
Yeah, Dust James,
stop like
go find the
abusing it.
clip.
Stop
Dust
abusing it.
James,
I'm
take a second to
fucking
go.
working.
Then that's on you, because if you can't describe what the clip in question, that's kind of
Yeah,
on
what did
you.
he say? Actually, yeah,
Hang on.
you don't have to like link it. You just what did he say in the clip? Like, slavery is good. We should bring it back. 2024. Let's do it. Did he say that?
I was
Slavery wasn't that
essentially him
bad.
exposing his white fragility. The
What?
old
Oh
right,
my
the
God!
old,
Another
the
buzzword.
old
Another
right
buzzword.
wing. Listen, the
Another
old
buzzword. White fragility. Dude, you're white.
yes,
Stop
white
saying that.
fragility exists. Yes, I am a white person. I can describe white fragility. I
No,
probably have.
Robin DeAngelo's white.
it's demeaning
So
as a
yeah.
white person to your
There
own
is
race to keep
a
talking about this shit.
no. It's not. Is an existing thing that's negative towards all
Oh my, yeah,
workers.
it's an
White
existing thing with
supremacy,
like
white
Hitlerite and
fragility.
liberals
It hurts all workers and it
who go
obstacles
to
all
universities and
workers,
stuff.
including white workers.
Oh my
Dust,
I'm a
god.
paraphrase if
no.
you
I'm
have to. Dust, paraphrase if you have to.
Yeah,
Stop
paraphrase.
resorting.
What did he
Stop
say? What did he
describing.
say?
respouted.
Hang on. Stop describing what the words are and start paraphrasing so that we
What did
can
he say?
decide for
Okay,
ourselves.
he repeated the old right wing talking point that somehow because slavery existed in Africa, therefore it was just to have slavery in the United States, and the United States is not to blame for its own slavery. That is the right wing talking point that
Okay,
he
that
repeated.
Okay.
doesn't sound
Okay.
like
So
anything you
it's
would
out
say,
there.
to
It's
be
out there.
honest.
Now we can talk about real things because I remember what you're talking about. So we can actually have a conversation about what was actually said rather than using
Is
buzzwords
this
like
about
hang,
MAGA or is this
hang
about
on,
this piece of shit
hang on.
Hinkle?
This is
I thought
I'm
we were
trying.
having a debate here.
Yeah.
Fucking Milkman ain't even talking anymore.
Yeah, I kind of got hijacked, but it's okay.
I mean,
RTSG. I'm
yeah.
aligned with RTSG. I agree with. I
August
agree
of
with August.
RTSG is doing a good job of holding down Milk's position.
Yeah,
So we
I
don't want
can't.
to.
I'm not gonna make it a shouting match. So.
Yeah,
No,
we
no,
don't need to
listen. If you want
dogpile
to
you,
talk
to be
more, I
honest.
mean,
Yeah,
I'll
because
just
that's
mute.
yeah. We don't need to dogpile you.
But I agree with everything August said.
Yeah, like so.
You guys talk like little bitches. You guys act all
Hey.
strong and shit and suck up at these people and make fun of people for having blue hair and fucking feminine voices. But man, I come up in the 90s when we bullied motherfuckers. You guys talk like little fucking bitches. I don't fucking understand it. How
So
you
it's been-
You're talking
get
about
on
white
with this
fragility.
internet bullying
You're a white
shit.
guy
I don't
talking about white
fucking get
fragility.
it,
Let's
man.
not
Yeah.
go there. Let's not go to little bitch land, dude.
Because it took a half an hour for you, Dust, to actually say something real that happened. To paraphrase something that Jackson Hinkle said, it took a really long time just to not get
He was
your opinion of
also-
what happened. To not get your, I'm gonna mute you again because you have this knee-jerk reaction to interrupt whenever you feel insecure, and I'm not gonna play that game. You have this. So it took half an hour for you to say something material that happened in reality that we can go and verify for ourselves, when what you mostly have been doing is giving your opinion of events, your interpretation of events. And that's what we mean by buzzwords. Imperialism. Well, give us an example. White fragility. What does that mean? Give us an example. Right-wing talking points. What were the talking points? Give us material evidence. Examples that we can analyze for ourselves and not your interpretation of reality that could be mean anything. That is just signaling to someone else who already agrees with you. So please, stop interrupting. Can we examine the evidence? I am unmuting everyone.
I guarantee Jackson never said slavery was just. Like, that's just a smear. And he doesn't he doesn't talk about like slavery. He doesn't like forward pro-slavery positions. He talks about Israel and Ukraine. That's what he talks about. And he got 2.5 million followers talking about Israel and Ukraine, but we can't support that because long list
Yeah,
of buzzwords.
I don't get it, right? So he's like a establishment tool, but he's consistently demoted and deboosted and deplatformed. He gets put on kill lists. He gets bombs, like with his name written on bombs or whatever to like threaten him.
Shit, they don't
He
treat
gets
all their
an
dogs
absurd
good.
amount. What?
Oh my
They
god,
don't treat all their dogs good.
it's non-falsifiable.
Okay. I get yeah, this is just like everyone is controlled opposition, and we can never falsify it because you can never prove it. So it's like, what even is the point of the conversation?
Yeah,
And it's
I
important
mean,
to
you
note.
literally did say I'm controlled opposition, so it's like,
It's
I mean,
important
I
to
don't even
note
know.
that in this schizophrenic worldview where everybody is controlled opposition to some degree, what he has made pretty clear is that the only people who we can be certain are not controlled opposition are the quote unquote black radicals, like like New African Black Panther Party, like what's his name, the like Revolutionary Blackout
Jackson.
Network, like Angela Davis, like
Yeah, she's not controlled opposition.
yeah. So these people who are actively coming out attacking Jackson Hinkle, who is affecting change and getting people like leftist journalists unbanned, who is putting a spotlight on Palestine, and the number one account on X is taking an anti-imperialist position at an expense, at his own personal expense, because it's cost him a lot of money to take this position. That person is controlled opposition, but all of the quote-unquote black radicals who are attacking him and have done nothing for the American people or whatever people they represent, have only torn down those who are successfully pushing the conversation forward. Those people are not controlled opposition in Dust James's worldview. That's a major contradiction. As I pointed out, and the link is in the jumbotron for y'all to read. This is something that I have helped expose 4 years ago. New African Black Panther Party, part of these quote unquote black radical tradition, was founded by a neo-Nazi, Tom Watts. How is that not controlled opposition? How? When it is provable, there is well documented evidence at this point. I can find more links but like these people who have been infiltrated by neo-Nazi feds and who push this identity politic of oppression puts you at the forefront of the communist movement, when it is proven that those people are actually working with federal agents. Angela Davis, who was an FBI informant, that person is more anti-imperialist than Jackson Hinkle, who has been put on government kill lists. Huge contradiction that you have yet to untangle because you're so wrapped up in buzzwords, Dust. Can we please talk about real events and stop using racism? Because so far the worst that you have brought up was that Jackson Hinkle, and I remember him saying things like this, Jackson Hinkle saying that African countries have also had slavery, so American slavery should not be used to demonize the country.
I'm just recording something on my phone.
Like, that's not pro-slavery. That's a pretty common position, and also not antithetical to communism. So now that that's out in the open, and a real example has been given, it's not what you think it is. Your interpretation of the events is not real. It's not based in what is popular amongst average people, or theoretical, or historical. You're making stuff up to get mad. You're riling yourself up into a frenzy, literally going into a Spanish rant, like as if you were speaking in tongues, in order to shut down a conversation that might actually put this physical evidence in front of an impartial audience. Why? That's which is the CIA tactic. as August has pointed out in other spaces, this like derailing of productive conversation in debate or in meetings, changing the topic, making claims that other people need to go out and justify by finding sources and rambling. That is a tactic written out in the handbook of the CIA, how to destabilize leftist communist organization in the United States. How does that not make you controlled opposition?
I think
Like,
speaking in tongues is on there too, actually.
yeah, like my dude, you have a lot of stuff to justify, and all you have are buzzwords. You there?
I mean, your whole thing is like, oh, we need to make independent movements of workers, but like, are you expecting every worker to jump through all these hoops you have? Oh, okay. Of like, oh, well, they're don't be racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, white fragility, XYZ. They got to jump through all these hoops, or else they're just gonna get screamed at and castigated. I mean,
No, you're gonna have like a caste. It's gonna be a caste system, right? You're gonna have the Brahmins, so it's like HR people who discipline everyone else into staying in line, right? And then you have your normal workers that just have normal opinions, you know. Think for instance they are white, but they don't want to demean white people or their own race or whatever. So they will be sent to the HR meeting where they get told to, you know, hey, you have to like follow new instructions. You begin every shift with raising your fist and shouting, kill all white people, you know.
that's really
So,
what white fragility is. It's an HR meeting. Robin DeAngelo is like
yeah.
corporate diversity training.
Yeah, Robin DeAngelo is literally like an HR person.
And
Like,
he's
so,
in here saying, "Oh, Jackson has white fragility." Like you're corporate HR, dude. You're not a radical. You're as radical as my HR department. They say all the same shit. I'm not allowed to be racist, sexist, transphobic, or homophobic at work either. So you know, you win. I guess you got what you wanted. Well, he left. So
Yeah,
he might have lost service because he's driving.
yeah, that makes sense. If we can keep the space going for a bit longer, because there are some things that I do want to talk about that aren't debate, because I think they would be useful. But yeah, like this idea of oppression, of people being the most oppressed groups in the communist movement having the sole authority, is a liberal talking point. And I'm naming names here of people who are doing this, Revolutionary Blackout Network, Black Red Guard, and Dust had brought up New African Black Panther Party. These people, we have evidence of actually being informants, controlled opposition, or at the very least leftist cults. So a language of oppression is used to divide the working class movement, to make sure that a majority of the country, who is white straight people, have no agency over the country, over like the direction that the government is moving, over whether or not like we can reindustrialize, like control over the productive forces. So that we need to abandon this liberal talking point of oppression, because liberalism maintains that that any outside forces, any institutional forces, including states that take away individual liberty, like that is oppressive, and we need to liberate the individual from oppressive systems. That is entangled with liberal theory. It is not communist. So anyone talking about that, Black Panthers didn't talk about that, by the way. They didn't talk about oppression. Like that wasn't a thing. That was like the liberal organizations of the day, like the US organization started by Ron Karenga, the founder of Kwanzaa, who was a liberal and an FBI agent who assassinated members of the Black Panther Party. That is who was talking about oppression. Like the people who wear the kufi hats, and the and the African scarves who talk about like oppression, my brother. Those were liberals, and they always have been liberals. And so
Yeah,
people adopting that talking point nowadays are either very misinformed uh, and misguided, or are being dishonest about where they're getting their politics from.
the Black Panthers called out those people too. I mean, the all the people who like up the Black Panthers, like fucking Vosh ups the Black Panthers. It's totally just a token. Like if they were around today supporting North Korea, he would call them fascists for sure. But they're not, so they can't defend themselves. And it's just they've been co-opted just because they're black, so they get to be tokens. I just wanted to mention on this like oppression thing. I once encountered a leftist on here who was saying that because prisoners are the most oppressed, communists should be sending weapons into prisons. And
And that's the other thing
I
that
think that
comes,
kind of sums it up.
and that is another thing. That's a position pushed by the New African Black Panther Party. These Maoist groups go hand in hand with Nazi groups. Expect to see this in 2024. I'm saying that, and this is another reason why we should talk about this for a bit, because you need to expect this in 2024. When I say that the New African Black Panther Party was founded by a neo-Nazi who was trying to push the idea that we need to push guns into prisons, like that was why he went into the prison system to talk with this guy Kevin Rashid Johnson, like a black prisoner, and they pushed Maoism in the prison population. That's what that is, like this coalition between Maoist leftoids and white supremacist neo-Nazis putting guns into inner cities, into prisons, in the hands of migrants coming across the border. This is 100% like why they work together, is because they're looking to spread chaos. And the which benefits the ruling class security state, who encourages this type of behavior so they can throw all of us in jail as soon as like these crazy people start wiling out. Black Red Guard, I was the one who brought to the infrared circle the fact that he had as blown up a swing set. He was like, there's an episode of Dr. Phil where he was on Dr. Phil having to justify why he blew up his neighbor's swing set. The guy's a terrorist. Like, I was the one who brought that up, and people were like, "What?" I'm like, yeah, no. And now I'm bringing it up again. New African Black Panther Party. This is long ago exposed. We don't need to be talking about them anymore. We don't need to be like taking seriously any of these quote unquote black radicals, because, like I said, very least they're very misguided, and their anger is harmful to people who are actually doing good, like Jackson Hinkle, or they are informants. They're agents. So call it out when you see it.
I mean, this talking point of like, oh, what's Jackson doing? He's not even organizing. It's like, what do you expect? He's been on the scene for like 3 years. Oh, and this idea that Jackson came out of nowhere is bullshit. Jackson built his shit up brick by brick. I mean, I've been watching it. I'm sure a lot of people in the space have too. He first got attention with Ukraine because he took the anti-imperialist position on that. And then he really blew up with Israel because he's one of the very few people who took the anti-imperialist position on both Ukraine and Israel. That's really what threw him into prominence, because how it usually goes is the left gets to be anti-imperialist on Israel and the right gets to be anti-imperialist on Ukraine, but very few influencers are anti-imperialist on both. And Jackson's one of them, and that's what really blew him up, that he's like principled and consistent. It's not complicated. I mean, he didn't come out of nowhere. He's been in this game for a while, and he's huge. Like, what do you expect? You expect him to be president by now? He's got huge reach. If we did have a party, he could be blasting our shit to 2.5 million people. I mean, that's huge. But anyone who's popular is controlled opposition, I guess, which is really convenient for someone who has no views. That anyone who's popular is just because they're controlled opposition. That's a really convenient position to have, isn't it? But I didn't want to make it personal, even though. Anyway. But yeah, Jackson is a big deal. I mean, the biggest account on X is an open communist. He posts about Stalin and Kim Jong-un and how they're good. He's anti-imperialist across the board. Nobody can call him an unprincipled anti-imperialist, which is why they call him, I mean, the first thing he says, anti-LGBT. Yeah, that's what's really important, right? You can be anti-imperialist across the board, but the LGBT stuff trumps all that. Okay. I mean, that's how a lot of leftists think. I guarantee that's why these leftists are all denouncing him, because he's talked shit about the transes, and that just trumps all the anti-imperialism. But yeah, it's that simple. Like, I don't even think the LGBT stuff. Like, I think if he was pro-LGBT, I don't think it would make a difference. It's the principled anti-imperialism that has really catapulted him into prominence, because you can see the jump when the war in Ukraine started, and the jump when the genocide or on October 7th, I guess, before the genocide started. So that's why he's popular. It's not rocket science, and just no leftist can do it because they have all these purity tests and they scream at people who aren't already on board. So they're just in these, self-constructed bubbles where they get to feel morally superior to everyone outside the bubble, and they don't want to make the bubble bigger because then they'd be morally superior to less people, and they wouldn't get to feel as good about themselves for having all the correct positions, right? Because yeah, you go to a fucking union, you go to a shop floor, they're not going to be all on board with you with all the trans and the Black Lives Matter and every other fucking purity test they have that just ensures they'll be in these little hermetically closed chambers forever. And he talks about how we've got to do an independent working class thing. Yeah, what are you going to do when people are MAGA? What are you going to do when they're not on board with LGBT stuff? When they're like, well, I don't think men should be in women's sports. Oh, you're going to start screaming at them. And yeah, they're really going to want to organize with you after that. It's just so obvious. Like, Jackson doesn't jump down people's throats if they're pro-LGBT or if they're pro whatever else they have issues with. And that's why he's popular, because he doesn't sabotage his own popularity, and he takes the principled ML, defends socialist states,